All right, guys, I have one here that I know sometimes people hate it when I do this, but this is an older Seiko watch. Not older as in like vintage, but older as in like it's certainly discontinued. I'm pretty sure it's around 2013 that this kind of popped onto the market and then disappeared shortly after. So they're kind of rare-ish, for a Seiko 5 anyway. Very interesting colorway, but before we get into that, let's talk about the size. Let's get that out of the way and then we can talk about the watch itself. So you are looking at, I measured across here, so it grabs a little bit of the bezel, but it's like 43. But if you don't measure the bezel, I think you're going to get a little bit less than that, probably closer to like 42, because the bezel does stick out. As you can see, it's got like a sawtooth effect. The lug to lug is a 50 mil. Thickness is 13 mil. That Hardlex sits just slightly proud of the case or the bezel. 22 mil lug width. Bracelet tapers down to 20 mil. It is a split pin bracelet. You can see it's all stamped clasp, hollow end links. It's a Seiko 5, guys. It was, when this popped on the market, I think you could pick them up for $140 back in the day. I mean, nobody has them for that now, and I really can't even find much track record of what they're trending at today. So they just don't pop up on the used market ever. So if this is something you're looking at purchasing, you pretty much just have to wait till one pops up and decide if you want to pay the asking price or not. That's essentially where you're at in today's market. So now that all that's out of the way, let's talk about what we have here. We have a Seiko 5 Sports. So the Sports is usually the larger one. It's not the smaller, more compact 5. And you have the 4R36 non-screw down crown. So it's going to be 100 meter water resist, like it says on the dial. Really nice blue dial. Pretty much all printed on there with the exception of the 5 and the Seiko. If you look closely, I believe those are applied, somehow stuck on there. Everything else is printed on there. You have the date. Also, the second, if I can get it in the first position. Oh, that's the time set. The day wheel, oh, that's the date, is in Roman. So that's pretty cool. You don't see that on a ton of watches, but it's always fun to see. And you can see symmetrically, they put over here to the 9 o'clock position, it says 21H. That's because that inner chapter, well, the 24, the 18, it has a 24-hour clock on there, which is interesting, I suppose, because it is with the date, it is a 12-hour thing. So not really sure why they did that, but cool nonetheless. A bi-directional, very smooth bezel. So you have like aviation equations and all that good stuff on there, I believe. And then that very center one here, that one does not turn. That one you'd use in combination with to calculate things. So really nice blue dial, really nice print. When we get to the Lume shot part of the video towards the end, it has a very cool Lume plot design. So you can see it has a Hardlex display case back for the 4R36 beading in there. And it's pretty much all polished with the exception of the top flanks here and most of the bracelet. So the rest of it's pretty much polished. Let me give you a wrist shot. I am wearing my MRG, if you're wondering. I'll do a video on that very soon as well. This watch was lent in by Dane, who actually has a YouTube channel. It's called Celine Driver. I'll put a link to his YouTube channel in the description. I've always liked the way the Seiko 5 Sports, the larger one, wear on wrist. They are insanely comfortable. I mean, most Seiko are, but for being 42 or 43 millimeter watches, they just wear great. So they're not super thick, they curve really good, and they work good on my 7 1/4. That's for sure. You have 4 micro adjusts on the bracelet. So pretty much a good all-arounder. It could be easily a really nice everyday watch with the blue and the orange colorway. I think it works really good. And I'm not sure if this orange was more vibrant when it was first bought. I did notice if you search up srp351, if I didn't mention that before, this is the srp351. I believe that might have been a little more vibrant than it is. I could be wrong on that. I think this might have a little bit of fade on that aluminum bezel insert, which just kind of looks cool, you know. So, all right, guys, let me give you a Lume shot. Actually, in low light, too, it actually takes on a whole nother effect. So when you get different reflections in low light, you can see all that polished part there, and then the orange insert and everything. It just looks great. So check out those Lume plots where all those 24-hour markers are on there. They actually split them, so you have the lumen inside and outside ring of that, and then of course the 24 and 18 are fully lumed. Kind of gives it a nice patterned look. It's pretty wild, and I really like those sword hands too. Plenty of real estate for Lume to show off that wonderful Seiko Lume. So, all right, big thanks to Dane for lending this in, and thanks for you guys for watching. See you on the next vid.